So I had to watch Batman v Superman for Caravan of Garbage. And you know what? I respect this movie. I just like things that have a vision, even if I don't agree with what the vision is presenting. And I found some pretty neat stuff in this rewatch. So I'm just gonna do that thing where I point out some nice scenes in a movie that you might hate. Let's do the opening. This film opens strong. A few caveats though. So we all know what the Batman origin story is. We all did not necessarily need to see it again. But from a purely textual standpoint, I'd argue that it's absolutely necessary. For one thing, this is a very alternate universe from your typical Batman. For two, we just finished the Dark Knight trilogy, and some moviegoers, my family, thought that this Batman was going to be the same Batman from the Nolan trilogy. And three, Zack Snyder just wanted to do it, and he had a take on it, and so he wanted to try that out. And you know what? Power to him. So we got that out of the way. Here's the things that I really like about it. For one thing, it's shot beautifully.
Wow. What a beaut.
I really like pretty things, and I think it's very appropriate for this scene. This is very clearly a version of the DC heroes that highlights the god part of those characters. And if you're dealing with gods, you're dealing with mythological storytelling, so you gotta frame it, you gotta shoot it in a way that highlights the mythic element of what you're seeing. Looks dope, even though I can't really tell how the pearls got from this point of the gun to that point of the gun without very deliberately putting it there. You can just come a little closer while I put the pearls on this thing, because I want it to explode when I shoot you. But that's not actually the beginning of this movie. The beginning of the movie is just a little bit earlier. Boom! We start on a coffin. Oh, hey, that's just like how at the end of the movie we end on a coffin. So we start on a coffin, end on a coffin.
That's pretty neat.
So the first 10 minutes of this movie basically is all about establishing Batman in this universe where Superman exists. The movie does everything in its power to try and rip off the band-aid to tell you that this is a fallen Batman story. But it does it the right way, which is using film language to tell you this. Snyder's at his best when he's doing these grand operatic shots, and so to contrast with Christopher Nolan's way more realistic approach, we get a slow motion, mythical, over-the-top spectacle of the event. It's pretty clear that these are memories flashing through Bruce Wayne's mind as he runs through the manor grounds. See, while all these shots are in slow motion, all these shots are at regular speed, so this is clearly the present day, and these are in his head. This is kind of exactly how traumatic events can be immortalized in your psyche. Not like a real-life everyday memory, but like a legend. It's surreal in immense form. It's terrifying and immortal. If not literally, then emotionally. So the motif here is falling. Let's run through all the different ways that this scene incorporates this theme or motif. Number one, the opening monologue is a little poem about falling.
There was a time above, a time before. There were perfect things, diamond absolutes. Things fall, things on earth, and what falls is fallen.
I like that last line a lot. Just by switching the tense of a word, you just imply that you're not getting back up, and I think that's cool. Gives you this idea that Batman thinks he's on a point of no return. Okay, number two, leaves are falling off the trees. It's fall. It's the season of death, which prepares you for new transformation, and so things have just died, and I think it's appropriate setting. Good job. Number three, the score. All right, this one's a bit of a long one. So first of all, I want to say the music in this movie is just fucking incredible. It's loud, it's bombastic, it doesn't hold anything back, and I respect the craftsmanship. But I think it does something really clever here as well. So if I write out this piano melody, you'll notice that it has a particular pattern. It falls. The notes all climb down and down about an octave and a half. And so it's a musical representation of what's happening in the scene. And even if it's pretty literal, I think it's sick. Number four, we got people falling down. Thomas and Martha Wayne fall down because they fucking died. Number five, camera does the fancy pan so that everything in the world is upside down. It's just falling. Bruce Wayne also literally trips over his own feet and falls on the ground, and then he falls in the well, and it's kind of funny. But it's all held up by the score. And number seven, this pearl falls down the sewer and then lands right next to Bruce in the well. Now this pearl, all right, just think about it for a second. Bruce has one of his mother's pearls. Did he take it off his dead mom's body? Because damn, that's dark. I'm gonna say a little bit more about it in a minute, but first let me finish my point. So there, the opening line puts the word falling in our heads, and then that theme is backed up by 6 different visual and audio elements. That's good filmmaking. It's very pretty, it's very deliberately put together, and it seems to have a reason for being there. What this scene also does, though, is set up what's gonna come later. Because Tommy says his wife's name as his last words. Thomas's last words are actually a really important thing that come into play later. So what I appreciate about this is that while doing all the necessary legwork to make sure we're all caught up with what this universe's Batman is supposed to be, we're also using it to lay some groundwork for a very key and universally beloved plot point. Also another thing, I really like that Bruce screams here. I don't know where this particular part of the Batman mythology came from, but most of the time Bruce Wayne has a sort of non-reaction to the death of his parents. I get that he's supposed to be in shock, and it's a cool visual, but it just doesn't strike me as very realistic. But High Top Films pointed out to me that this little detail of the origin came from Batman Year One, which is pretty much the Batman Bible, so I understand why it's carried over for so long. But I like that he screams in absolute horror, like a child that has actually had his family ripped apart right in front of him in an instant. But if you disagree with that, that's fine. I'm pretty divorced from the lore of Batman and Superman. It's pretty easy for me to take these movies on their own terms. Anyway, I want to talk about the Pearl again, because the Pearl has a double function. It's also a metaphor.
It's a metaphor.
I know it's a metaphor.
So let's just think about the visuals that are presented in front of us. Bruce's parents fall down, and then Bruce falls down the well. So the moment that Bruce's parents died, he died as well. Then the pearl falls down the sewer, and then it lands beside Bruce. So Bruce has fallen so far that he is geographically below his parents. I'm gonna say it again. He is, from a visual and filmmaking standpoint, underneath his dead parents. Probably because he's forced to live with this trauma instead of getting the sweet release of death. He's fallen so far as a man that he is literally underground. A quick shot of this pearl landing beside Bruce tells me so much in just a couple of frames.
That's pretty neat.
Anyway, so here's my favorite part of this. Okay, so Bruce falls and then something really interesting happens. The scene says, fuck it, we're going surreal. The bats fly around Bruce gets comfortable with them, and then Bruce Wayne levitates off the ground.
Oh my God, here he comes!
You see? Look, this is the kind of interesting imagery that I never see in superhero movies. This is like some lighthouse shit, you know? God, what the fuck? What am I looking at? This is, like, no joke, my favorite scene in the movie. Because I like art that does weird shit, but I also like art that is accessible. And this is a really accessible use of weird shit, which in this case is surrealism. The moment here is really visually clear. Bruce Wayne turns to the persona of the Batman to help deal with his parents' death. In fact, the bats carry him up into the light. The music's also super great in this bit. Remember how earlier when the piano melody was falling down? Well, as a response to that bit of music, the melody now rises. The pitch gets higher and higher as he is carried higher and higher up and out of the well of death. And you know what? Yes, I do find that beautiful. This movie just slaps you in the face with how seriously it's gonna take itself. And it's just such a ridiculous thing to take so seriously that I can't help but love it. So I'm in the theater thinking, yeah, I wanna see this guy fight Superman. And then we fade to white and we get the best title card in any superhero movie ever.
Metropolis. Mankind is introduced to the Superman.
When I saw this, I nearly crapped my pants, man. It's worded like a history book. It recontextualizes the ending of Man of Steel into an actual real-life devastating event in this universe. And this does the most important thing that an opening scene should do, which is set the tone. The tone of this movie is devastating. The film is establishing its own textual elements, and it's doing it very well. So everything ties together. We're given the background of this new character, we have a simultaneous planting for a future payoff, and then we're thrown into Act 3 of the last movie with our new character. You see, this also circumvents the criticism that you can apply to a lot of superhero movie universes. Where was so-and-so when all this happened? Why was Captain America not notifying Iron Man about the shield? But Batman v Superman really elegantly answers this question for you. Where was Batman when all the Kryptonians were killing everybody? He was there. Let's see, what else do I like in this movie? I like this bit when Lex Luthor is gesturing towards Zod's body. The camera actually perfectly obeys all of his hand motions.
How neat is that?
I like the idea that Perry White is so good at his job, has done it for so long, that he can look at a story and immediately come up with a really catchy headline.
End of love affair with man in the sky? Question mark. Underdog dreams dashed 10 yards between Gotham and glory.
That's a pretty interesting character trait. Makes me intrigued by him. I want to know what made him so jaded. Why's he got a single diamond earring? I really love how the visual effects are really seamlessly put into the camera work here. It starts off as a shot of the world engine with a lot of VFX in, but then seamlessly transitions into a running shot. It's pretty cool. All right, next up, this is a lightning round. I kind of love the montage of Superman saving people mixed in with the political conversations. Regardless if you think this is how Superman should behave, I think that Henry Cavill does a really good job of showing how conflicted and burdened he is by this. And then this montage is followed up by him calling his mom, and it's really cute.
Nothing. I just, Hi.
Aw, been there, mate. My dude totally just wants to hear his mom's voice, and he doesn't say it out loud, and it's great.
How come Dad never left Kansas?
He just grew up in Kansas with simple ideals, but the world he's entering is modern and much more complicated. It's not that simple. This idea that Superman doesn't work in a modern space is also voiced by Perry later.
When the planet was founded, it stood for something, Perry.
And so could you if it was 1938, but it's not 1938.
I really relate to the idea that even when you do the right thing, people might still dislike you. That's a shitty feeling. It's like what Michael Caine said in that one Batman movie.
Take it. They'll hate you for it, but that's the point of Batman.
Even though this element of Superman makes him less likable as a character and an icon, it does make me relate to him more, so that's pretty neat. I really like this performance moment from Jesse Eisenberg.
Yes, I would. Yes, I would.
Like, he's about to gain all the power and knowledge of the universe, and he's terrified. But then he repeats himself with gumption because that's what he really wants to do. It's a little character moment. I don't know, something about that strikes really honest and true to me. BVS is just nuts. Zack Snyder was given $250 million to make whatever he wanted to make, and he made this. You know, this movie just goes balls to the wall, and it commits fully to everything it sets out to do. For better or worse. It takes a lot of guts to do this to something like Batman and Superman. Sometimes artists make stuff, And I like that. After all, this is just a movie, and I think it's pretty neat. So those are some bits that I really like from Batman v Superman, a movie. Anyways, thanks for watching this. I am Ben. I am the editor for Mr. Sunday Movies. Woo. Hey, listen, these individual videos that I make take a lot of time and effort to put together. So if you want to support me in doing that, I have put up a Patreon page. It is not mandatory. I just want to leave you that option in case you really like these videos and you want to support me in some way. Patreon.com/Ben from Canada. Hey, listen, thank you all for watching these videos. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. We have videos every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And also listen to the podcast Weekly Planet. And I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
I love you.